All right. It is May the 12th, Friday, and we are back for another Friday Financial Wrap-Up with Mr. Michael Zuber. How are you, Michael?
Oh man, I love these. I look forward to this recording each week because allows me to look back over just a busy week and kind of pick the important things. So thank you for the opportunity.
I love it, man. And it's so good. It's nice and just a nice 8 to 12-minute summary. Let's get right into it. CPI, what is it and what happened this week?
Yeah, so CPI, Consumer Price Index, came in better than expected and better than I predicted. So if you watch my channel on Wednesday, I wore a shirt that said swing and a miss because I like owning my mistakes. I thought this CPI would come in about 5.2 or 5.3. Expectations were 5. They came in at 4.9. Why is that important? It's important because this was the last CPI reading for the next 2 to 4 that were risky. And what do I mean by that? Well, if you understand the calculations, there's really 2 things going on. First, there's a thing called a base effect, which basically you take 12 months, you drop off the first month, you put on the next month. For the next 2 months, the base effect is giant. 1.1, 1.2, and we'll add on 0.4, 0.3, something like that. So just because of that, CPI will come down for the next 2 months. And then what will happen is we will finally get to the point where housing inflation starts to roll over. If you watch our channel or our summaries, I keep telling you about this roller coaster and it won't start to roll over until the summer. Well, we're in May. The next 2 months will be June and July. Then we're in August and September and housing inflation will roll over. So I think the Fed's going to like the next 4 reports. This one was risky, but the trend is your friend. Now we have 10 months of negative growth in CPI or disinflation. So yeah, the Fed's really happy. CPI, really happy.
Interesting. Very interesting. You've been talking about this for a long time, and it seems as though the Fed, obviously, what they're doing it's beginning to work, right? Is that pretty accurate?
Yeah, I would think Jerome Powell is smiling. It's working. Okay. Yeah,
all right.
I would think so.
Well, good news. Good news. Let's continue. PPI, what is it and what happened this week?
So PPI is Producer Price Index. You could think of CPI as what you and I pay at the grocery store or the retail store. That's CPI. PPI is like wholesale prices. It's kind of up the food chain. It's an indication of what inflation might be coming down the pipeline. Now, it's not always a one-to-one because you can compress margins. You can do all these other things. But generally speaking, PPI precedes CPI. And PPI came down also. It's in the 2s, right? So again, inflation is coming down. CPI, I think, is down 11 months, or might even be 12 months or PPI was down 12 months in a row now. So all in all, inflation seems to be going the right direction for the Fed. So the Fed has to feel like they're winning. It's not fast enough, I'm sure, but it's certainly directionally correct.
Directionally correct. We're headed the right direction. Okay, well, good news. Let's talk about the SLOOS report. What is the SLOOS report and how does it affect the economy? What is it? What is it all about? What happened this week?
Yeah, so the SLOOS report is something I look at very rarely, but it was something that was vital this Monday. So what is it? It stands for Senior Loan Officer Opinion Survey, SLOOS. And it's essentially, what are the banks thinking about lending? There were 3 takeaways. First, credit conditions are getting tighter. And now this isn't just Q1. They were getting tighter in Q3, in Q4, now Q1. So again, lending conditions tighter. Second, demand seems to be going down for cars, credit cards, homes. There's all kinds of reasons for that. And then most importantly, we've already had 3 quarters of tightening. The SLOOS report said the next 3 quarters, or the remainder of the year, will get increasingly tighter. So if you watch our channel and our discussions, there's a housing market and a lending market. The lending market is going to get tighter and tighter and tighter.
Very interesting. Well, again, you've been talking about this for months and months. It's obviously happening. The dominoes are falling. Let's talk about foreclosures, specifically foreclosures in Sacramento. What happened this week?
Yeah, so I want to talk about foreclosures, and I'm going to use the example of Sacramento because we are going to start to see scary statistics. So again, I want to give shout out to Ryan Lundquist, Sacramento appraiser, somebody I follow on Twitter. I got the numbers from him this morning. So, Ty, if I told you foreclosures and short sales in Sacramento were up 400%, what would be your first indication?
Only because I watched the show and I've spent so much time with you the last 2 years, I would know it basically went from 4 to 16, basically,
Exactly.
or something
It went
like
right
that.
from 4 to 16. Exactly
Yeah.
right. We went from 4 to 16.
Yeah.
So again, we are going to see content creators who are interested solely in clickbait use headlines like foreclosures up 400%. And again, they went from it's foreclosures and short sales went from 4 to 16. 16. 16. 16. So
yeah. 16 is not a market crash when you have
dude, it's not even a fart in the wind. I mean,
Yeah.
it's crazy. 16.
Yeah. Yeah.
Come on. Give me a break.
So yeah, and you've been talking about, I love, you had the term, you said it's intellectually dishonest, meaning
Yeah.
anybody who actually is smart, who kind of knows what's going on, is not going to be fooled by a headline. Yeah, it's 400%, but 16 doesn't move the needle. It's not going to create a crash in values. Is that pretty accurate?
No, it's not even a tenth of the market.
Yeah.
It's intellectually dishonest, and it's just, people are interested in getting paid for clicks, but it's also factually correct. I mean, it is factually correct.
Yeah. It is
Crazy.
Interesting that it has been crickets in my business with regard to any kind of asset managers, REO, things of that nature. I did have a hedge fund out of New York reach out for me to do basically BPOs on 4 properties. But even then, here's what will happen. They'll bid, they're probably bidding on a portfolio of 100, 150 different loans. They'll buy that package, that tranche of loans, but then they'll end up doing workouts. The properties will get listed, there's equity, or they'll recast the loans, or they'll do something with the loans.
Silent seconds. It's just noise.
Yeah.
Just such noise.
Yeah. And it's really bizarre that I had 4 in the entire, for all of Contra Costa County with this group. And it's very unique that it happened, but it's in no way, this is not some wave of REOs or anything coming. It's not even, like you said, it's nothing. It's a little hiccup, if anything. So
exactly.
Let's continue. Let's talk about commercial banks. What did you see this week with commercial banks and your thoughts there?
Yeah, I think there's something I want to hit right before commercial banks, and that is mortgage rates, right? Because again, CPI came in better, PPI came in better. Credit's getting tighter. I think mortgage rates are going to trend down, and this is owner occ, best credit, all of that. They're already down the last couple of days. I think we go sub 6%, but before August, like sometime in August. I think we're on that trend, right? We're at the terminal rate. We're going to get a Fed pause. I think we're going to get a Fed pause all year. Some people like Meet Kevin are calling for 4 rate cuts. I mean, whatever, right? I still think mortgage rates go sub 6. If we get 4 rate cuts, dude, we could go sub 5, and that would be bananas, right? So that's mortgage rates. But on commercial banking, the pain's not over, right? First Republic was the latest. Pac West is getting attacked today. I think lending is going to get tighter. I think the commercial loans are going to blow up. I think there's a lot of pain and workouts and all of that coming to the commercial segment. I think it's going to be, it's going to take some time. And I'm not talking months or quarters. It might take years. And that was really what I got. I went back and looked at my 50-year spreadsheet for 1980 to 89. And it was years of slogging through this. So again, if you're looking to do some commercial stuff and workouts and all of that, build your network, get going. You've got a couple of years, but there will be some amazing deals. We've already seen some, and we'll see a lot more, I think, in that part of the market.
I actually did a jump off. You did in the Daily News. You talked about that property in New York, the $69 million acquisition. It was valued at like 120, and then it ended up just trading again at 13 million.
Crazy.
Pretty wild. Is that a bit of a unicorn in terms of, or do you think there's going to be a lot of that? Is that going to be
90% off is a unicorn.
okay?
There will be some, don't get me wrong. There will be some offices that are tear down values, but I think a lot of stuff that goes bad will trade at 50 to 60%,
Okay. Okay.
So.
And that's what to kind of prepare for and expect. If you're somebody that's going to play in that multifamily, maybe in that office space, in the small commercial. Also, too, you said I feel like in the last 2 or 3 weeks, very similar to the SNL, what you described in the 80s.
Yeah.
This isn't going to be like where we have 10 banks every week collapse, but it'll just be over the period of time, another one. Is that kind of accurate?
Oh, yeah, exactly. Another one. I forget the artist who says it all the time, but yeah. Another
DJ
one.
Khaled.
Khaled. Yeah, that's it. Khaled. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
DJ
And another one.
DJ Mike Zuber and DJ Khaled. Well, there you go, collaborating. I love it.
Khaled. Yeah, that's funny.
I love it. Well, let's wrap it up. I think obviously we talked about mortgage, we talked about commercial. So low inventory, still the theme going into this, finishing the spring, going into the summer months. Yes.
Yeah, we're Mother's Day, which is this Sunday. Shout out to all the moms. Happy Mother's Day. Don't forget, guys, don't forget it's Mother's Day. Yeah, the spring selling season is over. Mother's Day is like the last day, like that's kind of the end of it. And the inventory never came. So we're going to run into summer and then, fall, then winter with below trend inventory. So it never showed up.
Never showed up. Okay. So we're going to, that trend is going to continue. Let's just transition. Thank you, Michael, for all that you do. I'm excited. You've got an event coming up on May 21st. And by the way, I didn't call you and ask you for a discount. I didn't say, hey, I'm your buddy. Hook me up. Can you hook me up? Can I help co-host? The minute you announced this event, because you've got some incredibly smart talent on there, I instantly bought my ticket. Tell them what you got going on May 21st.
Well, first off, that just tells you who you are, because I would have frankly given you a ticket if you would have asked, but you didn't ask. You just bought the ticket. So kudos to you for that. Again, this is something I thought about when I took my month off in Southeast Asia. I've asked myself, how could we do more? And what I've always thought about is how can I take my growing Rolodex of experts and my growing one rental at a time family and smash them together on key topics. So it was important for me to make these sessions interactive. I don't want them to be meetings or webinars. I don't want us doing that. I want the audience interacting. So I happen to use Zoom. At least the version that I have caps out at 100. So I can do a meeting with 100 people, raise hands, ask questions, bring them on camera, all that stuff. And so that's what we're going to do. I've done 3 of these now. This will be the 4th one. This topic is taking the lumberjack landlord, Millennial Mike, Dion Talk, and myself, who all collectively have like 60 years of experience, 300 some odd units, out of state, in state, financially free with 16 units, hundreds of units, just all of these different things. And we're going to open it up to the audience. I suspect we'll get hey, look at my portfolio. What should I do? Because again, we've done all of that. Should I recycle capital? Should I income snowball? Should I house hack? Should I invest out of state? My market is too hard. What should I do? It is going to be just an amazing session. And I did some rough math. Given that you're going to get 3 hours of all 4 of us, for the price of $47, you're going to get like $5,000 in free consulting.
Yep.
And just like all these sessions, it's going to be based on the audience. I'll have 2 or 3 minute introductions so everybody knows everybody. And then it's time for questions. So it's working out well. I think this one will sell out. We've sold 31 tickets already in 2.5 days. I would think it sells out. I mean, it should, but if not, we'll just roll with it. So yeah, May 21st, 8 to 11 a.m. Sunday. And and also Matt, Mike, Dion, giving me 3 hours on a Sunday is it can't be missed. So I appreciate them for doing that. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I want to say that too, and I'll specifically why I'm going is I've been kind of an anti out of state guy. I've always been like, no, invest local, go where you can drive to it. But I'm going, well, wait a minute, for cash flow, maybe there is something. Let me open my eyes. Let me get really clear about, okay, what are the cash flows? What are the ROIs in the Midwest? What's possible if you 1031 exchange stuff from California to potentially the Midwest? So I'm coming for that reason. Also, though, I want you to share with the audience, one of the members, and I don't want to misquote it, tell it, he worked at he worked at a Walmart or a Home Depot. He was W-2. He was really kind of just restarting, and he ended up getting himself financially free within 2 or 3 years, right?
So the story you're referring to is Dion. So he starts his financial freedom journey getting divorced. He's $89,000 in debt, negative $89,000 in debt, with debt he didn't know about. His wife sprung it on him. He is a single parent, and he, as a father, he gets custody of the kids, which doesn't happen a lot. So that tells you kind of the story there. And I think he's working at, I don't know whether it was Walmart or somewhere not making a lot of money. He ends up going into the military, which downsizes. Then he goes to the police force. Then he's driving a truck and they go on strike. Just all of these things come about. He bought a house and refied a house to pay his wife off at the peak of 06 with a bad loan. So he's ready to short sell it and get rid of it. He can't because nobody can take it over. And he goes on to become financially free in less than a decade. Starts with house hacking. And now he's traveling all over the world. And he ends up the month with more money than he started. So Dion's an amazing story. The lumberjack, he's a freaking 9th grade dropout. He didn't even graduate 9th grade. And, he had to work at Walmart and all these other places and do odd jobs and house hacked and almost lost everything in the Great Recession. Then there's Millennial Mike, who's a police officer who house hacked in Seattle, and then it was too expensive. So he's gone to Indiana, I believe. So it's a great group. So we're lucky to have them.
Yeah, I'm excited. I mean, all of those guys, super knowledgeable, super experienced, and, all have unique stories. I love it. And the discipline too. So I'm excited. So folks, if you have any interest, if you're really about this business, do yourself a favor. Sunday morning, carve out the time, buy your ticket. There'll be a link for Eventbrite, right? It's already on the daily.
It's on Eventbrite. Yeah. It's on daily.
Okay.
I'll send it. But this is going to be an interesting event, right? Because a lot of the events I've done, getting started, growing, this could be seen as an event for that too. But also, hey, I've been in the game 5 years. I'm stuck. I got 6 units. I'm stuck.
Yep.
These we've been through it, and it'll be an interesting conversation, I think.
Yeah. And even like I have friends and people I know, like, hey, I've got 30 different properties, but the cash flows suck because I mismanaged them. California, I kept my rents low because I like my tenants. And now because of the rent controls or the way the rules are, I can never get my rents.
Anything.
Yeah. Now I'm locked in. Maybe that's part of my thought of going to, out of state. So a lot to be shared there, Michael. Thank you for all that you do. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers. Thank you, Michael, for all that you share and do. We appreciate you.
You got it, buddy.